Welcome back to SportsZone. I'm your host, Lucero, and we're going to talk about the WNBA. They have been very, very eventful over the last week with trades, drafts, and another upcoming draft. We're going to talk about it all. Joining me to talk, Bowey, Devlin, and Cooper, the Hammer, Lyday. Guys, this is a WNBA as a whole that has gone through a whole lot recently. They agreed to the new CBA, which is very, very big. You know, I was concerned about a potential lockout for this team and for the league as a whole, but they found a way to get it done, really finally paying the players what they deserve. I still think it should be a little higher, but, you know, that's going to be something that continues to progress. But, guys, I want to talk about the biggest news of the week, and that is Angel Reese traded, obviously, from the Chicago Sky over to the Atlanta Dream in exchange for 2 first-round picks along with a second-round pick swap. But this was a trade that shocked a whole lot of people. Angel Reese, obviously the superstar of the 2023 March Madness with LSU, came into the Sky and already just incredible. Her defensive prowess, amazing, and now shipped off to Atlanta. Cooper, how are you feeling about this trade?
I think it's a little puzzling from the Chicago Sky aspect. I know they weren't good, but now they're just like they were in rebuild and now just going like 5 steps back now. It's a little interesting, but I think Atlanta Dream, this is a win for them. Like they were kind of on the borderline contending last season as they made the playoffs as a 3 seed, but now I think they're definitely championship contenders with the best of them now.
All right. So for Angel Reese, it's a very interesting move here because for her, I mean, yeah, the Chicago Sky had not really been performing, as you said, you know, exactly the way they'd be wanting to, but I think it's just interesting because you kind of had 2 great, you know, big men in this situation with Camila Cardoso already there. So it's like, I think for the Sky, they are committing to Cardoso and they're committing to the future, and the future's coming soon because they get 2 first-round picks in exchange for Angel Reese, obviously a huge trade. And for this one, who do you think wins this, Bowey?
Call me crazy. I think the Sky won.
Okay.
I mean, as the days and the years go by, I feel like picks are going to start coming more valuable. And I feel like, you know, with Angel, you know, her stats have been, majority of them are in the negative. I feel like, you know, she's just farming her rebounds off of missed shots. And I feel like with these picks, I feel like the Sky are going to utilize that in that rebuild and eventually continue to build themselves back up.
Okay, interesting. I think Angel Reese is an excellent player and a great defender. I think, you know, it was just more of a case for me with the Sky just not really being that one player away. I think that they are just in need to rebuild that team a little more from the bottom up, and I think this is just a move of committing to that rebuild. You get 2 first-round picks, which is a huge haul, and then Angel Reese going to an Atlanta Dream team that you talked about, Cooper, can look like contenders. So for me, it's very difficult. I saw some, you know, grades of like really, really lopsided. I understand this for both teams. You know, I think it's difficult in the short term for the Sky, but I think they will hopefully get those results depending on how those draft picks fare out. But for Atlanta, it's going to be really exciting. What do you think they can do with Angel Reese now on this team, Bowey?
I mean, I think it's just going to continue to build their depth, and I feel like she is like, you know, I guess she brings that presence
Absolutely
in the locker room to where I feel like it can really build them all up on each other, and I feel like that's something that I think that they really needed for a while.
Okay.
So.
Yeah. It's going to be interesting to see. What are you thinking, Cooper?
She's going to definitely be a big presence in the paint. Like, you know, she's led the league in rebounds. I'm pretty sure back-to-back seasons. She's broken records. A 2-time All-Star. I definitely think it's a great presence and a great addition.
Yeah, it's a huge trade, and we'll see how it continues to fare out. But, guys, I want to talk next about the WNBA expansion draft that we saw this past week. The brand new teams, the Toronto Tempo and the Portland Fire, both teams being introduced to the league this year. So, obviously, you do that expansion draft, they get to make their picks, build their teams, and we saw some interesting moves so far. Cooper, what did you see in this expansion draft for these two?
I saw kind of 2 different aspects that they're coming from. So Toronto Tempo, they're kind of going for like the win now with some great players like Julie Allemand and Marina Mabry. However, on the other side, Portland, they're kind of going for like maybe develop, not exactly win now, as they took some interesting players like Nika Mole. She's had her career plagued with injuries. However,
Yes.
they're, you know, optimism. And they just got like Carla Light. And it also helps that she's actually from a recent team that just got created last year, so she also has experience with being in that foundation from the ground up.
Yeah, definitely interesting for the Fire. Nika Mule, obviously, you said, has battled those injuries, but definitely a big name and just really tough, obviously, for the Seattle fans, you know, losing a player like that who was just such a staple in that team. But if anything, I don't know, it kind of reminds me of when, I'm going to go to hockey real quick, but Marc-Andre Fleury being picked by the Golden Knights. This is a player that, played with injuries, a veteran, but ended up being a huge presence for that Vegas team. So for Nika Mule, we'll see if she can get healthy. I don't know if it's going to be all that, but I think it's just something for the Fire to really build on. And then their first pick, Bridget Carleton, definitely going to be a huge player for them as they start in their inaugural season. But Bowey, overall, what did you see from this expansion draft?
I mean, I think it's great. There were so many picks that these teams needed, and I feel like the missing key spots that were filled that is just going to help build these teams, just to maybe potentially dynasties,
Yeah, you never know. I mean, obviously, it takes time, and usually these expansion teams don't, perform like crazy out of the gates, but you never know. I mean, stuff can happen. We've seen it before, and it's just very exciting for the WNBA, now up to 15 teams, and I would not be surprised if they continue to expand going forward. But for the Tempo and the Fire, it's going to be very interesting to see what they can do. But however, they're going to have some picks in the upcoming rookie draft as well, and I want to talk about that next. We talked a whole lot about Women's March Madness at the top of the show, and there's going to be a lot of great prospects in this upcoming draft. The Wings have the number 1 pick in back-to-back years, obviously, selecting Paige Beckers from UConn last year. She was incredible, wins Rookie of the Year, but the Wings definitely showed that they still need a lot of help to put pieces around her. Looking at this draft and looking at some of these top prospects, Cooper, who would you like to see the Wings pick number 1?
I think there's a lot of great options. I'm not mad at any of them, but I got to go with AZ Fudd.
All right.
Just the chemistry she'll have with a former teammate like Paige Beckers. And just I saw that the Wings just kind of struggled in shooting, and she'll definitely help that little aspect and just kind of help an offense that can be dormant at times. And I think I got to go with AZ.
All right. Who are you thinking the Wings should pick number 1?
I got to build back up on him. I mean, it's got to be AZ.
Right.
Just her with her persona and her playmaking. I think that is something that could really build with Paige and Enrique, and I feel like that could boost the Wings, up on that next level.
All right. It's very interesting, and I'm torn because I think my heart wants AZ Fudd because just the chemistry that she has with Paige, obviously from their UConn days, she's an incredible player. But there's another one I got to mention, and that is Awa Pham. You might not have heard as much about her just because she didn't play in college, but the international prospect has some incredible talent. I mean, this is a center from Spain that really, I think, can be that difference maker for this Wings team. As much as I would love to bring in AZ Fudd, that's another kind of guard-forward type of player, and you already have that in Beckers and Enrique. To me, Awa Pham, to be able to come in and be that physical presence, kind of like what Lauren Betts was for UCLA. I mean, to consider that she is a higher prospect than Lauren Betts herself, to me that says a lot about her ability. So I'm torn. I would be very happy either way, but I think that's another prospect to really listen out for, number 1. But looking at the draft as a whole, I want to kind of look at maybe the top 5. If you guys check out some of the mock drafts going on, there's a lot of debate, a lot of great prospects, but looking overall, Bowey, who are some of your top prospects in this draft?
Well, for me, it's got to be Dallas with Ozzy. I just think that, that's the biggest role that I feel like they need. And then the Lynx with Awa. Mm-hmm. And then following that with Seattle getting Olivia Miles. I feel like those are the 3 pieces that are the main part of the draft I think that everyone in the league needs to focus on because they're big playmakers.
Yep.
Yeah, I got to agree with part of it. Like, in these best 4 players, I'm not mad at any of them, honestly. Mm-hmm. Obviously, AZ Fudd. I got Lauren Betts going second. And honestly, either or, Awa Pham, she's the best international prospect. She's amazing, so I'm not mad at any of those. And I got Olivia Miles.
Yeah, all right. Some good names there. Olivia Miles is a very exciting one, the guard from TCU. She had a really incredible tournament and a really great couple seasons, with TCU, and then, of course, her college career as a whole. But Olivia Miles has just been very, very impressive. That's another one. And then, guys, you mentioned Lauren Betts. I mean, it's impossible. We talked about her so much at the top of the show. This is just such a stacked draft class for the WNBA incoming. There's going to be so many great players. It's hard to choose one, but Dallas Wings will have to pretty soon. So that is all the time we have. Thank you all for watching SportsZone. So many sports going on, and we're going to continue to cover it with Thursday's show coming up later. Thank you so much for watching, though. Make sure to give us a follow at our socials at NTTV Sports, and we will see you on Thursday for SportsZone.